You're listening to Into the Disappearing, the podcast where we explore the strange, the unsolved, and the inexplicable. I'm Marin Blake. Tonight we return to the shadows of a place that should have remained forgotten. A tunnel that runs deep beneath the Colorado Rockies, where miners once toiled long ago. But one man's return from this forsaken tunnel raises more questions than answers. He came back with something he shouldn't have. An object that defies all reason. This is episode 20, The Watcher of the Tunnel. The town of Silver Creek, Colorado, is small, nestled in the foothills of the Rockies. Once it was a thriving mining community, its streets filled with the sounds of picks and hammers, the clatter of carts loaded with ore. But like so many others, Silver Creek was abandoned. The mines ran dry, the tunnels collapsed, and the people moved on. All that remains now are the rotting wood planks of the town's old buildings, the rusting remnants of machinery, and the deep, dark tunnels that stretch beneath the earth. One of those tunnels, the Blackstone Shaft, was sealed off decades ago after a series of unexplained disappearances. The miners who had worked there spoke of strange occurrences, of voices echoing from deep within the earth, of shadows that moved without explanation, and of the feeling that something was watching them from the darkness. But tonight, we focus on one man, a man who recently returned to Silver Creek after disappearing for over 5 years. His name is Ethan Ward. Ethan was 34 when he vanished. He had been a miner, working in the very tunnel that everyone else had left behind. He was known for his quiet, almost obsessive nature, his desire to uncover what had happened to the workers who disappeared in the Blackstone Shaft. His disappearance, like the others before him, was swift and without warning. One day, he simply stopped returning home after his shift. The town thought nothing of it. They'd seen disappearances before. Miners would go too far into the tunnels, seeking treasure or glory, and they would never come back. But when Ethan didn't return after weeks, the search parties were sent in. They scoured the tunnels, they searched the caves, but there was no trace of him, not even a footprint. Ethan's disappearance became just another unsolved mystery in Silver Creek, until 5 years later, he showed up on the doorstep of his childhood home. Alive, but changed. It was a late summer evening when Ethan returned. His parents, who had long given up hope, were stunned to see him standing on their porch, pale, disheveled, but very much alive. His clothes were tattered, his face gaunt, and in his hand, he held an old ornate pocket watch, one that he claimed he found deep in the Blackstone Shaft. Ethan told his parents he had been trapped in the mine for years, caught by a cave-in. He said he had wandered the tunnels, lost, with no food or water, waiting for someone to come rescue him. But when no one came, he was forced to find a way out on his own. He said the darkness had grown heavier with every passing day, and the silence. The silence had become unbearable. But the strangest part? Ethan claimed that he hadn't just been lost in the tunnels. He said that he had found something in the deep. Something that had kept him alive all this time. A watch that shouldn't have existed. As Ethan's story spread through the town, a series of strange events followed. Local witnesses began to come forward, each one recounting an eerie encounter linked to Ethan's disappearance and the watch. The first came from a man named Daryl Brooks, a former miner who had worked with Ethan in the Blackstone Shaft years before. Daryl had always been skeptical of the supernatural, but his experience on the night Ethan disappeared changed that forever.
I remember the night Ethan vanished like it was yesterday. It was the same shift, and we were supposed to head out of the tunnel together. But Ethan, he kept saying he was hearing something, voices. I told him to shake it off, that he was just tired. But he wouldn't listen. I thought he was just spooked. It wasn't until the next morning that I realized he hadn't come out with the rest of us. I don't know what happened, but after that night, I could swear I heard someone whispering from inside the tunnel. I don't know if it was Ethan, but it felt like he was calling for help, even though he was gone.
Another witness, a woman named Jenny Harris, a local cafe owner, claimed to have had a strange encounter with Ethan just a few days before his return. Jenny had been walking her dog along the outskirts of Silver Creek when she saw him standing near the town's old church, staring at something in his hands. It was the watch.
I didn't even recognize him at first. His face was so pale, like he hadn't seen the sun in years. But when I looked closer, I saw the watch. It was in his hand, but it wasn't like anything I'd ever seen. It looked ancient, like something out of a history book. He was just standing there, staring at it, like it was calling to him. I asked him if he was okay, but he didn't answer. He just kept looking at that watch, and when I turned to walk away, I swear I heard him say, "It's too late. They're watching."
Jenny wasn't the only one to witness Ethan's strange behavior. Local school teacher Rachel Benson told me that she saw Ethan standing in the town's old cemetery late one evening, speaking to the air as though someone, or something, was beside him. When she approached, he stopped abruptly, his eyes wide, almost as if he'd just realized she was there.
I thought it was strange, but I didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable. But then he said something that chilled me. He said, "I've seen the clock. I've seen it all. It's watching us, waiting." It didn't make sense. I told him to come back to town, that it was getting dark, but he just nodded and walked away, heading towards the old mine entrance. I've never seen him so fixated before. He wasn't the same person. Something had changed in him.
But the strangest part of all came when Ethan disappeared again. Not long after his return, just weeks after he had reunited with his family, the town was rocked by the news that Ethan was gone. No one had seen him leave. His family reported that the house was empty, his room was untouched, and the watch, always in his possession, was nowhere to be found. A neighbor, who had been walking near the outskirts of the town, reported hearing the familiar sound of ticking, faint but persistent, coming from the direction of the Blackstone Shaft. The same ticking sound that had been heard by so many before him. I traveled to the mine myself, hoping to uncover what had happened to Ethan once and for all. What I found was the same oppressive darkness that had swallowed the tunnel 5 years ago. There was nothing in the mine, just the echo of my footsteps and the faintest tick, tick, tick from deep within the earth. And when I left, I found something strange. A small piece of metal, sharp and cold, buried in the ground near the entrance. It was part of a pocket watch, the same kind Ethan had carried, but this one wasn't his. What happened to Ethan Ward? Was he ever truly lost in the tunnel, or did he find something far darker within its depths? And what of the watch? Why is it that so many people, Daryl, Jenny, Rachel, seem to have heard the same ticking, seen the same signs? If you have any information about Ethan's disappearance or the strange occurrences surrounding the Blackstone Shaft, please contact the Silver Creek Police Department. Next week, we'll travel to the abandoned asylum on the outskirts of Greeley, Colorado, where the screams of the past are said to echo through the walls. Until then, I'm Marin Blake. Stay aware, stay away from the ticking, and if you hear a watch winding itself, don't listen.
When the night gets bright and the stars align, we stir up dreams in cosmic time. A little stardust, a little tune, you're mixing it